This is Beyond a Reasonable Doubt with your hosts, Mark Garrigus and Gary Smith.
Welcome to a special Sunday edition of BARD, and boy, do we've had quite a response to the to being off, number one, and to the last couple of Sunday editions. So, normally I would want to start off with the Trump the order that was issued on Friday by the federal district court judge that said she was tentatively going to give a special master. And the reason I'd like to is because if you're in the legal world or the legal media world like I am, the lawyers for Trump were savaged for even bringing this motion, that they thought, I saw commentary, they're using the arguments of the attorney-client, they're cribbing this, they didn't wait long enough, the blah, 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 they didn't know about the filter team, or Adam's favorite, the taint team. And I heard so many arguments, and if you had actually read the filing, you would have understood that this was a completely logical, and she hasn't ratified it yet, she's waiting, but has said this is her tentative opinion. And so I would have done a bunch of clips, but Gary and I don't have time. And you know why? Because everything national is local. And the last BARD that we did was Sandy Kobiesi for the defense, right, Gary?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Right. And prior to that, we did one where we had played a audio, and the response has just been off the charts, as I think you'll agree, Gary. I don't engage in hyperbole. I can't go anywhere where people don't talk about it, seen it. And Sandy, I thought, acquitted herself very well. However, clearly there were things that were not asked, and we've got some of those, not the least of which, Gary, you can play a couple of snippets, and then you've become quite the paralegal in your brief training. California, I still think, has the Kimi Kardashian method to become a lawyer, which is you intern in the office for 18 months, and then you have to take the baby bar and then the final bar. But
yeah, absolutely. So what we have not gone over, but we've been in possession of for several weeks now, is a lot of different communications between members of the family, text messages, emails, stuff like that. So I'll just put up one of them here. Let's see.
And I think tasting is a double entendre.
I think that's a different subject, maybe perhaps from our earlier conversation. So that's at the top there. But this is him pleading within the family. Just trying to set everything right. Don't listen to your uncle and your grandma, or grandpa rather. Just rumblings from within the family that are clearly not good. Let's see here. Let's see.
Yeah, and this is hard to tell who it is, but keep in mind, don't ever think we ever do anything. And notice the dates on this. The first one was 2016. This is 2017.
Right.
I missed you at Cars and Coffee. You'll remember that we tongue-in-cheek renamed that. And my understanding is that there's another Cars and Coffee next weekend. We'll see if it comes off here. Yeah, because since the first or second the reporting on this, now you'll see here. What do we have a date on this? August 31st. Yeah, I have only you and I made a mistake. Please understand, I never remember. See, this would appear to undercut, because Dan and Brad are Sandy's little brothers.
They're the correct. The victims.
They won the $24 million judgment against Mike, and this would seem to undercut the theory that Sandy has put forth, I'm sure, at the behest of Mike, that somehow this was retaliation for him reporting them and some financial fraud. Is that fair to say, Gary? Because take a look at the dates here and you'll see that doesn't quite make sense.
Yes, it is. And this particular one that we have up on the screen right now, the thing that sort of sticks out is he says it's not a thing I control, which is obviously concerning and disturbing, certainly. Let's see here.
By the way, these texts, the jurors saw all, if not most of these. Here's one in February of 2017, and he's not with his children anymore. No threat. She can't do like Dan. No to report. I'm not a threat. I will not be otherwise. See, all of these, Mike, just heads up. I'm going to repeat, this is not personal. I'm just looking out for my family. Let's take things one step at a time. You take a look at this, and I wanted Sandy to be able to tell her story, but these are pretty damning because they're in real time. There's nothing that would appear to support the idea of this after created story, or I don't know if it was after created or when it was created, but it certainly doesn't appear to be created in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another one. This is a text transcription of Mike's
deposition this year.
Yeah. It's, it's the question is, do you think it's possible for a child under the age of 15 or younger to consent to sexual relations with the adult? Mike says he doesn't understand the question. And then he's asked, can a minor consent? He asked for clarification on what consent is. And after saying he's not sure, the final answer there at the bottom, which is obviously the most disturbing, says is up to them. So that's, sort of an excerpt from the deposition that sort of shows his attitude towards the crime in question. So that's a little rough.
Yeah, it's really disturbing. La Cañada, I saw where the superintendent of the schools has come out and taken a stance here, which I think she probably, got some flack for not doing it before. Then, so one component of this was Sandy's explanation was that Mike had reported fraud, that's when they being Dan and Brad, would have concocted these allegations. You can see from the dates on these texts, which were introduced apparently in the trial, that doesn't seem to really fit any kind of a timeline. The other thing that doesn't really fit a timeline, Gary, do you have, because there was a question now for those who were in the weeds on this, there's a $24 million judgment against Mike.
Right.
And Jerry Kaplan, who's his lawyer, told us that they plan on appealing. But Jerry said to us, I believe, that they're not going to post a bond. What does that mean? Well, that means that if you don't post a bond, meaning you'd have to pay probably $2.5–3 million to an insurance company to put a bond up so that they can't execute on your assets. So the reason you do that is you want to be able to continue to work and accrue assets. Well, they were very frank in telling us they're not going to do that. So that means that the Brad and Dan, I believe his name is,
right,
will, through their lawyers, to be collecting on the assets. Now, Sandy told us, do you have the clip of that by any chance of what she said about that? Or do you remember the exact wording? I want to capture it.
I believe, I do not have the clip ready, but I believe that they said that all of the assets have been in her name for many years.
Right. And that's interesting because we found a couple of things also recently. It looks like the verdict sheet that we have was dated what date?
The verdict,
July 28th?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Okay. Sorry. You have something that was filed on, so July 28th of this year.
Right. Let's see here. Are you looking for the
actual jury verdict? Does it have a date on it?
Let me see here. Sorry, I'm juggling a lot of different assets here.
I got it. So forget about that. We'll assume it's July 28th. August 5th, 1 week later, Mike had left the country, and then we saw something that was filed. We were able to look at the docket, or not the docket, but there's a civil index. Do you have the August 5th filing on behalf of Brad and Dan?
Yes.
Fraudulent conveyance. This is one of the things that I think is going on. You'll see here that Mike has now been sued. And he'll go up to the top, Gary. You can see the date.
Yeah, the date's up here.
Yeah, August 5th, a week later, because Mike had left the country. August 5th, a week later, they filed a law firm filed this on behalf of Dan and Mike and sued Mike, his residence, Ahmed, a Barrington Way Partners, for fraudulent transfer and violation. I think this is the next stage in what is happening with this. People keep asking me, what do you think is going to happen? I said, it's clear to me if they don't put up a bond, then they're going to try to execute. Now, we had shown in an earlier show the pods at a house. And everybody, in fact, right up the street from me is telling me, hey, they're in this house. Well, that house just transferred. And I know that for a fact because I had considered buying it. The house had just transferred within the last couple of months. And now the Kobasi extended family is apparently living there. They've their own version of Tent City. And when I say that, that's not that's an actual description because there's car tents all over the place. I would imagine that what you will see happen is that there was something untoward in the sale of that house, and that's going to become an issue, and that you're going to see pretty soon that they're going to be unraveling that. I think you're also going to see. Do you have the statement of information? Because it looks like. You'll see there August 30th of 2018. Remember, Sandy had told us that she had had these assets forever. That it doesn't jibe. It looks like, I hate to say it. I'm not accusing her of anything. Maybe she's got a poor memory, but the assets went to her for Kobasi Properties as of August 2018. And if you read that first lawsuit that just got filed in this year, this month, August 5th, it details all of the machinations of the transfer of assets. The problem that I think they've got is who is going to list their house with Kobasi Properties at this point. It would seem to me that you're asking to have your house or your escrow tied up with writs of attachment and all kinds of litigation. Who was your agent? Where's the money? Where's the commission going? I mean, this is fraught. It's a nightmare. And I don't think, who am I? I mean, Mike wants to come on and talk just like his wife did. I'm happy to, or Jerry can come back on. I just don't understand what the end game is here, because if you've got a thriving real estate business, you're not going to be able to transfer assets like they have. And once you file a fraudulent conveyance, what's next up is they're going to be seeking what are called writs of attachment, which means why would you list your house when you're going to buy into literally, potentially, I suppose, into a lawsuit that's going to cloud title or anything else? I mean, it's a nightmare. I'm going to predict right now that my neighbors up the street who bought that house are going to be the subject of all kinds of litigation as well. So it's become quite a little talk of the town here, all of which on top of the fact that the allegations, as seemingly admitted to in these texts, are really disturbing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we, as much as we have shown here today, there is a lot more, frankly, just way too much to ever really get to, unless we were to spin this off and do a whole series focus on this. And I mean, look, we've shown. Yeah,
I thought about that. We'd come up with a new, what you call in a legal opinion, if it's extraneous material that a justice or a judge wants to put in there, they call it dicta. DICTA, dicta. So I was thinking of a new show called Sunday Dicta.
Well, we'll have to play with that. But yeah, like I was just trying to highlight, we're showing the stuff that is most pertinent to the conversation, but there is a lot more. And I'll tell you, it can ruin your weekend reading through it. And it's very disturbing. Yeah. The case has not really been covered on a national basis, no.
truly it has somewhat captivated what's going on here, because there's, it's like every other case. Is it a he said, she said? Is there documentary evidence? We play, we heard the tape and things of that nature. Now we're moving into the collection fraudulent conveyance, and this thing is not going to go away.
Well, anyone who sees Adam Carolla out today, whether it's in Malibu or La Cañada, don't stop him and start talking about this episode, because he's enjoying his weekend. He's probably not listening to us right away. So don't confuse him with questions about the Kobesi case.
Thanks, Gary. And I'll see you this week coming up. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. Stay tuned for more bonus episodes coming soon.